Hi, welcome to Journey to Salvation. I'm your host, Arlene Polite, and my guest today is Shelia Albury. Hi, Shelia, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh man, I'm doing awesome. It is such a wonderful thing to have you on the show. You know, we've been doing this journey to salvation, and it's been so awesome to hear the testimonies. And God is doing mighty things, and I can't wait for you to share. Well, you'll share some with me already, but it's gonna be. I know it's an awesome story because God has done so much for you, as you've
Yeah.
shared in the past. And so, my question to you, my first question, Shelia. How did you get started on this journey? Why did you get saved?
Well, I got saved in 1990. I actually was going to church, but really didn't have a relationship with God. I was performing in church like other people normally do. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah. um, I was showing up, I was committed, but I really did not have a relationship with God. Um, until one day, my it was during the time my mother was sick. She was in the hospital. And I was the one that would actually go out and visit her. And this particular day, I was like, I'm not going to see her. I was tired. I just didn't want to be bothered. I was actually tired of her too, because if you know the history, she was on drugs really bad, and so
Oh,
yeah, so it was just constantly she was in and out of hospital, and I was just done. And believe it or not, I had a visitation from the Lord. And first it scared me because I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is going on? But from that day forward, I committed myself to have a relationship with God. I accepted the fact that it was my mother was who she was. And no matter what, if I was able to do what I needed to do for her, I needed to do it. Um, I had never heard of anyone having that type of experience. I thought you just go to church and you just perform the duties and just continue to, go and it would happen.
mm-hmm.
But I had a personal encounter with him. And from that day forward, I made a commitment. You know what? I'm going to serve you no matter what. Now, don't get me wrong, I was still out doing my thing,
As
and
so
still
many
was
of
going to
us
church. Yeah,
has
still
done.
going
But
to. Oh.
but wait one second, Shelia. That encounter, what was it like? Where were you, and
I was
how did
actually
that happen?
I was actually in my bedroom and I was asleep. And all of a sudden, it's like the sheets tightened up on my legs, and then it started me, and I woke up, but I couldn't really see clear. But then it was like this image, and it was just a presence, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And just seeing, it was like the presence of God, just seeing Him,
You felt peace.
peace.
You didn't feel
And
fear.
yes, and it was confirmation for me. It was time for me to be committed to the things of God and to have a relationship with Him. Also, it was confirmation for me to do my duties as a daughter for my mother, regardless of how I felt about her and the relationship we had. So from that day forward, it actually opened my eyes to really know that, what, God is real and He wants to
Mm.
have a relationship with me, you know.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
yes, yes, yes,
That's
yes.
that's amazing because a lot of people have encounters,
Mm-hmm.
and and it at first it's fearful because even in the Bible the angel said, "Fear not," right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes,
but
yes.
but then you'll know the difference if it's evil or if it's God, right?
Exactly.
Because of that assurance, because you probably would not have gone on to do the right thing if you had gotten the wrong, a
Yeah.
wrong encounter, so to
Now,
speak.
don't get me wrong. I was a little afraid because it was the first time I ever seen that, and I was like,
Right.
"What is this?" But it was a peace
Mm-hmm.
over me once I realized what was going on. And then I
Right.
headed the right direction to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, because had it been some other presence, it wouldn't have got my attention the way that it had got my attention. So I knew that it was God, because it was directing me in the right path to do the right thing, basically.
How old were you then?
I was actually, I want to say I might have been 20 years old. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 years old.
But you were going to church from a little girl.
Yeah, because my grandmother and my aunt played a part, which was my mom's sister, because she had to step in and kind of help my grandmother raise me and my two siblings.
Okay.
So my aunt practically took us to church, but my grandmother also went, but she never drove, so she had to catch a ride. So,
okay.
It was one of those things, but we had church in our house, because grandmother didn't play.
Grandma.
Honey, she'll strike up a hymn in a minute and get to pray. And let me tell you, what a change, just, we don't, to have that back then. We don't have that like we did back then,
Yeah.
Your grandmother and mothers, they would strike up a song, or they'll, go to praying, and, in the house. It didn't just happen. You didn't just see it in the church. You saw it in the house.
Yes.
But now we have pulled so far away from that.
Oh, man.
Till, it's like, I don't know, I would say it seems like it's an embarrassment to just strike up a song around your kids. They're like, what are you talking about? But I think too also is because of the life that we live in before our kids, and then we want to bring God in there and talk about the Lord. They not hearing it because you're not living what you're talking about.
Right. Right.
So I can testify that because of what I received as a child growing up, through the word and my relationship with God, I instilled that in my children. So once I came to the realization that God is real and He wants to have a relationship with me, I started going to church, and I started taking my children to church. And it's so funny because on Sundays was dedicated to the Lord, from Sunday school to church to discipleship to church. So our 4 days for Sunday was church, nothing but church.
Yeah.
And my kids could testify. And they used to say, but they loved it because that's what, we did as a family on a Sunday, even though I was a single parent, but that was the path that I took because I had that encounter back in 1990, with the Lord. Yeah.
But when you had that encounter, did you share that encounter that you have with the Lord with anyone? And did you have a support group or a support person to guide you along? Or
No,
was it just going to church?
No, I really didn't share it, other than no one but my grandmother, because I lived with her. We lived in the same house. But as far as sharing that with people to say, that was actually what got me to where I am today. No, I just started going to church, and then even with me started going to church, I still wasn't really committed. I was going more so than I was before after the encounter. But what really touched me was when I actually started going to this church, which it was my uncle's church, and it was a big Baptist church down in Miami. I joined the church, and I was like, okay, but I was going, but still, I was still doing what I do.
Yeah, because you're searching. You really didn't know the fullness of it.
Exactly. And I was a person that I used to love to go to the clubs. I used to go to the clubs, and and I didn't have a problem with wearing my fitted clothes.
You're sexy.
Yeah. And the funny thing that happened that really, really, really got my attention, that God loved me so much that He sent some people out to come to our house, and they were actually deacons in the church, and we were assigned to them because when you go to Baptist church, you are assigned to deacons, and they would come out and visit. So when I was walking down the street with my fitted clothes on, my fitted dress, I see these elderly people with the Bible And I said, oh my gosh, who is this? And when they introduced themselves to say that they were from the church that I had joined, I was like, wow, they really care. They really
Mm.
care enough to come out to check up on us. We didn't just join the church. We're actually a member and we're part of the family. So the
Oh
family came
man.
out to check upon us, to let us know that they were there to serve our, our needs and give us
Wow.
the aid that we need. And from that day forward, Sister Arlene, when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I got to get my life together. I
Wow.
need to go more, get involved more, and just be committed to the things of God. And when I saw
Man.
that, that was a love that I had never seen
Yeah.
before. And it was mind blowing for me. So then I started going, I started taking my children. My children were actually, I want to say the ages of 5, 4, and 3. So, they were young, so it was just that love that drawed me to know that there were people there that cared, and I wanted to be a part of it, because with my life, the route that I was taking, and I was looking for love in all the wrong places. So that brought me to the place to know that, what, God loves you even the more.
Mm.
So then that's when I said, what, I surrender all, and what, ever since then I've been on the journey.
Okay, if you don't mind me asking,
Hmm.
um, what led you to be looking for love? What was that was driving you? What do you think there was something missing, or what was missing on the inside that
Well, go ahead. I'm
caused you to
sorry.
feel that way? Yes, go ahead.
Well, one, my mother, as I said earlier, she was addicted to drugs really bad. Two, my father did not play a role in my life. Um, and my grandmother raised me, and she did the best that she knew how, with what she had and how she could.
Did you
So,
did you ask questions about, like, okay, did you see yourself actually like, man, I don't even have my parents with me? Or what were you going through mentally during that time, or your feelings, your thoughts at that
well,
age?
it started young, because actually, I was I was young. I would say, I remember going to school at the age of 5. I was in kindergarten, and I used to walk to school by myself. So, and then I was actually raped by someone I didn't know on my way to school. So that was a lot that played a part in my life, as far as finding love, because I was violated. I
Mm-hmm.
was, as a young girl, didn't really understand what was going on, but because of me being violated, I was looking for that void, you know.
And,
Um,
and
mhm.
did your grandma know about it, or?
And it's so strange that how it happened. I actually, when it was over with, I went on to school. I never told my grandmother until after my mom passed away. My
Ah.
mom passed away in 1990 as well. And when she passed away, maybe a couple of years after that, that's when I revealed it to my grandmother. But my mother passed away and didn't know it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I took on a lot of strange behaviors, just because of that incident, and then my mother not being there, and just seeing a lot of things. I saw a lot of things as a young girl,
Yeah.
that I didn't quite understand. um, so it caused me to act out and behave in a different way too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
um, and even, meeting my children's father, uh, it was a very abusive relationship. It was a lot, and I had 3 kids from him, and I had to deal with that as well. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
lot that I had to deal with at a young age.
It went from one
As
thing to the other.
yeah, to another. So I found myself doing, different things and stuff that caused me, a lot of hurt and a lot of pain because I was looking for love in all the wrong places. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes. Take your time. I know just going over things in your life sometimes, things come up while you're talking, and it's
Hmm.
not an easy thing, for at least for me, to sit and to talk about the things that I went through. But it's a part of the journey, because other people need to understand. There are people that say, okay, I went through this, and it blocks them as if they cannot go on with life. So it's
Hmm.
important. I'm asking these questions, and so that people can see and understand that you can move on
Hmm.
from what you've been through, and not to feel shame, not to live in shame of what other people have done to you. You
Hmm.
see,
Hmm.
um, how we respond to life is where we're coming from, and even for myself, how I respond to life is where I came from. I didn't have the tools, and so I just went out, just doing.
Yeah,
Things
yeah,
just was just happening, and I'm like, okay, yes, still you know that you want something good,
yeah,
but it's as if you can't get it together. So
yeah,
I'm really glad that you're sharing this story. This is awesome, and it's showing us a lot of how that everybody goes. A lot of people, if not
yeah,
everyone, goes through something in life, and it's important to keep it moving,
yeah, yeah.
and that's what you've done.
Yeah, and you know what? I would go to on to say, you know, there was and still is a lot of rape and molestation to African American women.
Yes.
Um, so, some that they know of and know who they are, and some that they don't. Which in my case, I didn't know who this person was. Uh, I I never seen him before, and if I saw him, I still wouldn't know who he was. I didn't know him at all. That was my first time seeing him, and that was my last time seeing him, as much as I knew.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the thing is that what happens is it brings about shame. But I was 5 years old, so I didn't really know what shame was about. I
Right.
just knew something happened to me, and
And it
it
shuts
wasn't
you
normal.
down, like it
Yeah, it
locks you
wasn't
off.
normal. Exactly. It
Yeah.
wasn't normal, but it wasn't something that I spoke about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, as I got older, and I began to question the fact of why are these my choices that I'm making? Not saying that I had to, but because of the way I was wired,
Right.
So I was just just curious to know, why do I make these decisions when they're not good for me? Why do I be a part of a person's life that I know that is not good for me? Why do I feel that you know it's okay to do this when it's really not okay to do it? And it's the thing is that's within you is because you don't know any better, but then you still striving to find out why. Why am I wired like this? Why do I think like this? Why do I feel like this? And I kid you not into 2003, I started going to this church, and I really, really want to know, why uh, I don't have a successful marriage life. That was one of the things, because I had already been married twice. Um, the first time I was married, it was in Miami. We both were young, immature. I had my 3 kids, and it wasn't from my kid's father. It was another guy that I met at church. Of course, at church, you say you want to
Yeah.
live, you want a life of a husband, wife, family. You want that,
And you
and
think it's the safest place.
exactly. And then to don't even talk about the person being a Christian guy, and now I'm a Christian. And so then you begin, and then he paid me some attention with 3 children.
I know.
That's a
Yeah.
great thing. It's like,
Yeah.
he want to marry me with 3 kids? That's not his, you know. So Hey, that even set it off even more, you know. So even though I knew it wasn't the right thing to do, but because of looking for love, you know, don't have an example of what real love is. So you settle for what's available, basically. You settle for what's available. So yeah, you know, we was married, and I think we stayed married 9 months, and then I relocated here to Orlando. Getting here, time went on. You know, just me. I'm trying to raise my kids the best I know how as a single parent. You know, 2 and 3 jobs to make sure we in a stable. You know, me and my kids in
Right.
a stable environment. You know, so it was a lot going on, and then I met because I had been working so much, and I really not really able to spend the time with my kids. They were young, they were in elementary school, and they were able,
Okay.
because I drove school buses, so I had to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I would have to leave them home,
Wow.
and they would have to actually, you know, get themselves up and get ready for school and go to school. And then you know, I was like, I was wore out from that, and then so I met this other guy, and oh, he appeared to be stable and secure, you know, for security reasons, because I was working 3 jobs, and then I didn't get to spend a lot of time with my kids. So he seemed to be a pretty decent guy, you know, and I looked at stability and finances and security. That was my thing, and
Survival.
yes. And so we wind up getting married. I, you know, since Arlene, I was like this, you know what? I had already made up my mind. I wasn't shacking up with nobody. I wasn't shacking
Mm.
up because I confessed to be a Christian and a woman of God. I was not
Yeah.
shacking up with anyone. Um, the idea sounded good, looked good, and we did it. We got married. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, that was that was
Oh
two and a
man.
half miserable years for me and my children.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, because we don't seek God for His advice as to what we need to do in life,
Right.
because we're actually focusing on what we think we need and
Right.
what we want, then we go down these roads of disaster
But
and
it, but it's
turmoil.
but it's also, don't you think it's also um maybe because you haven't had that example, you know,
Yeah, that was
and
part of
that
it.
structure, right? You
That was
know,
part of it. Yeah, that was part of it.
so
I would say it.
so pleasing God, that's difficult to please God if you don't know, you know, the structure, how to go about doing it.
Hmm.
Did you think about like counseling or talking to anyone in the church about what you're going through, or
At the time, no. When I moved here, I was not actually committed to a church. I was just going, but I wasn't like I was back home when I lived in Miami. I was still when I moved here because everything was new to me. I didn't really have a church home. I was just visiting churches. You know, I wasn't committed. I wasn't involved in the church or anything. But I knew my relationship with God was still real. You know, because
right?
one thing I did do was I still educated myself for as ministry. I
Okay.
would watch Joyce Myers, Creflo Dollar. I mean, you know, on my break, because like I said, I drove school buses. So in between my break, I would go home and I would still
Yes.
be fed the word of God, because
Okay.
that's one thing I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose
Mm-hmm.
my identity with Christ. Even though I had struggles and I had different
Right.
issues going on,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I could not afford to lose that.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
and with that, that kept me stable and rooted and grounded of the things of God. Um, and like I said, I moved here in '96. I had 3 jobs. I got promoted on my job 2 times, and I was focused on having a stable life for my kids, no matter what, because I knew that they didn't ask to come here. They were my kids.
Right.
I
Wow.
knew I knew the absence from my mother and my father in my life, and I did not want that for my kids. Very stressful for me and the children because the person that I had married, there was some issue, mental things that was going on with him, and so I had to actually, I had to get us out of that situation because my kids were in high school, and I just could not allow someone to abuse abuse them as well as myself. I looked at my kids as mine because I brought them into this world.
Right.
And because I didn't have my mother and I didn't have my father in my life, I wanted to make sure that my children had me, even though they didn't have their father, but they had me. So there was a sense of, I want to say, protection and control that I had for them.
Because you didn't get that. You wanted that for yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. And love, I did not have a problem with sharing and demonstrating love to my children because I didn't get them. So I was geared to give them everything that I didn't get, you know. And I was not going to allow someone to come in and destroy it.
Wow.
So I was overly protective. I was very controlling, you know, when it came to them, you know, and then even to my life, you know, even with relationships, I became very controlling because I wanted what I wanted because I had such a rough life growing up to, you know, I those are the characteristics that I took upon, you know. Was it hard for me to accept it? Yes, it was very hard for me to accept it because I didn't feel that I was. I just felt that, hey, I was just being me. But we do know things that we deal with in life becomes our behavior. And that's why I say we become wired that way because of things that we saw, things that we were taught, you know, and not all bad things, but some are good. But, you know, there was some bad things that that I encountered. You know, and they became a part of who I was and my thought process, you know, and my behavior, you know. And a lot of times people don't want to accept the fact that, you know what, you are a product of your past.
Yes.
But don't mean that you have to allow your past to control your future.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was just, you know, that was the early part of my life that I things I had to deal with and things I had to confront because having a relationship with God and you accept the Holy Spirit as your comforter and that dwells within you, it's going to talk, you know, he's going to talk to you. Yeah. And he's going to tell you what path to take. Now it's up to you if you want to do that. I can't blame my mama. I can't blame my daddy. I can't blame the men that I allowed to be in my life for me to continue to have excuses to do what I want to do, which was not pleasing to God. I valued my relationship with God so much till when I did things that I know wasn't pleasing to him, it affected me.
Right. You felt bad.
Emotionally. Yeah. And mentally, it affected me. So, you know, I just now I'm in a whole different space and place in my life now. Because
you're so awesome, man. God is so awesome in you.
Life will teach you. It is. Life will teach you some things.
Yes.
if you want to be taught, it will teach you
Yes.
some things.
Better
Um,
yet.
I exactly, and I feel for the people that still holding on to things that
Uh,
happened to them in the past,
mm-hmm.
of what they mamas did or didn't do, or what they daddy did or didn't do, what their siblings did or didn't do. What other family members, what friends have did and didn't do for them
Mm-hmm.
or to them. I had to make a conscious decision that I allowed those things to happen. When I got older, to me. Now, when I
Right.
was younger, I had no control over those things. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I had no control of it, and I had to come to terms with that. Listen, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Here. So what are you gonna do? It's a choice that we all have to make,
Yes,
whether or
ma'am.
not we're gonna continue to allow somebody to hold us back to our past, or whether we're gonna continue to become what God said that who we are in life. And
That's right.
my thing is, I made some bad choices. I made some bad choices. I did. But guess what? That's on me.
Right.
But because of my relationship with God, I know that I can go to his throne and say, God, forgive me for what
Mm-hmm.
I've done or what I'm doing, and help me to do better. But you gotta want that. And you just
Yes.
can't be doing any old thing and just say, "Oh, I can go to the throne." You can't
Mm-hmm.
do that. You
That's the
got to
key.
have a heart that wants to please God. But
Yes.
in the midst of it, yes, you gonna trip, you gonna
Yep.
fall, but don't stay down there. You know?
That's right.
Okay,
You
you
can
can
hear
hear me.
me?
I
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
I don't know what's going on, but I tell you what.
This testimony is gonna go out there. You hear me?
I know I know everybody has a story. I know that. I'm not doubting that. But I tell you what, God has a way of doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, how
Yes.
it needs to be done. And
Yes.
distractions and interference is going to come. But we
Yes.
need to understand that even though it comes, don't get discouraged.
Come on.
Still
Come
stay
on.
focused and let God do the
Push.
work. It's gonna
Yes.
happen. It's gonna happen. Just like with all these technology issues that we having,
Yeah.
it's gonna touch who it needs to touch, and it's gonna go where it
Yes.
needs to go. So I'm just,
Somebody need to hear it.
yeah, I am sold out to know that God gonna do the work. It's gonna be done. It's gonna be done.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know you was asking me a question before we actually got interrupted.
Yeah. About did you have conversation with your children along the way to give them a little understanding of because your life also affect them, and because they're seeing you going through, they feel your pain
Yeah.
as even more than you can imagine. So what kind of conversation did you have with them?
Well, here's the thing. I did have conversations with them, and I would even say some things I think I shouldn't have had.
Oh.
Some things I shouldn't have spoke of, and some things I did speak of. Being that, like I said, we were very close knitted family. There are things I shared with them, my son especially, because I didn't want him to be affected in a way wherein that he didn't know how to love and love properly. The same as my girls, I taught with them. I tried to be transparent, but in a respectful way, where
Okay.
they didn't lose respect for who I was.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I didn't. We didn't have that where you hear people say, "Oh, that they my best friend." Their kids are their best friends and all that kind of stuff. There's a line.
That's
My
right.
kids were my kids, and I love my kids, and I was their mother, and they loved their mother. But for as that best friend stuff and all that kind of stuff, I didn't cross those lines, and I didn't allow
Right.
them to cross the lines.
Right.
I
You gotta
allowed
know
them
your
to.
place.
exactly. I allow them to be open to express
Mm-hmm.
themselves, but it was how
Good.
they expressed it. And like I said, some things I spoke of, and some things I didn't, and some things I shouldn't have spoke of, and some things, I just shouldn't have spoke of. But that's okay. Um,
Why you say you shouldn't? The things that
because
you shouldn't have.
because some things I think children don't really need to know.
Okay.
And there wasn't. I mean, what I'm saying is there wasn't things that was gross or disrespectful. Um, it's just certain things, and then because kids begin to view you in that light as
Oh.
they get older.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? Where they
Yes.
begin to like, oh yes, they didn't lose respect for me, but it's just certain
Right.
some things. Like I'll say, for instance, the last guy that I was married to, um, I used to. It was when it came to the point where I didn't trust him. I used to investigate. I would say it like that.
Okay.
And when I did it, my kids were a part of it,
Uh,
and that was something that they shouldn't have. I felt that they shouldn't have been a part of
Understandable.
because because now you can see sometimes in them it's like, oh, she's what's she trying to do, investigate me, or make comments like or make comments like, then they begin to keep secrets because then they don't want,
Ah.
they don't want you
They
to
see you as the
know.
investigator.
Exactly, 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 exactly. And see, a lot of people won't admit to that.
Yeah.
They won't admit to the things that they allow their kids to see. Some of those things become the product of their children today.
Yes.
So they don't really
Yes.
know how to deal with, because for them they're still dealing with the shame of it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Oh,
Mhm.
I shouldn't have allowed them to see me do that. Oh, I shouldn't have allowed them to hear me say that. But I'm so glad that I didn't allow that to be the shame of me. So right
Right.
now, I speak to my kids and I talk to my kids and I say, look, okay, I wasn't perfect. I wasn't no perfect mother. I'm not saying that, I walked on water. But what I'm
Right.
saying is, yes, I did a lot of things that wasn't right, you know, and I own up to those things. And I would tell my kids today, uh-uh. If they tell me something, nope, that's not the right thing to do. You
Right.
don't handle it that way. I don't care how mad you are. You
Right.
better think of what your decision is today, because it's gonna affect your future
Mhm.
tomorrow.
Mhm.
So they know that my my baby girl, she said, "Oh, mama, you don't have no filter." I said, "Yes, I do. I have a filter. You just don't like what's coming out." But my thing is, I don't sugarcoat anything, but I do it in a respectful way,
And that's all you
because
could do. That's
they're
all you can
grown.
do.
They're grown kids now.
Mhm.
They got to make up in their mind what they want out of life for themselves as well as
Right.
their families.
Right.
So, but my thing for the most part of it, I've learned how to be a mother to adult children. I've learned
Oh,
that,
okay.
because at first it was like, y'all still my kids. Y'all still, I'm looking at them as my babies.
I'm still
Like,
in charge here.
yeah, exactly. But then I had to realize,
Mm.
look, them adults. You had to come to that place to make your own decision. So what's the problem with them? Even though
Mm.
you don't want to see them hurt, or
Right.
go down the wrong path and stuff, and it hurts you. But I had to let go and let God do
Mm.
the work and say, you know what, God, you showed and stopped loving me. You
Right.
show you still continue to look beyond my fault and see my need. So why would you not do that for my kids?
There you go.
You know?
I
So
like that.
yeah, so that's what, when my kid, my daughter would call me, my baby girl, she would call me, she go to talking and ranting and raving and about stuff, and I'm just listening. So when she finished, she told me, it was so funny. When she finished, I say, okay, now what you want me to do with that? The phone got dead silent. dead silent. And so then we started talking about something else. But then at the time she didn't say anything. But later on she said, Mom, she said, when I got off the phone with you, I had to laugh so hard. I said, why?
Man.
She said, because I was having a crisis and I was just going off. And she said, and then when I finished, you say, okay, what you want me to do with that? She said, I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I said, well, Creature, the reason why I said that was because I'm learning to stay in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning to listen to what it is you all have to say.
Yes.
And then when I listen and hear what you say, then I want you to tell me what you want me to do with it. Because I understand people going through, they maybe just be venting. Maybe they are looking for a solution. But see, I used to be the one that always, I fixed it. When they telling me, I'm already in my head what I'm gonna say, how to fix it, what they need to do. But God had to tell me, listen, you're not the fixer. You need to let people do what they do. Listen. Then when you hear what they have to say, then you ask them, okay, what you want me to do with it? How you want me to handle it? You know, and my son is the same way. He calls me and he talks to me. And I just listen. I've learned to just listen and just be there for them. Like I was when they were younger. I've always was there for them. Now that they're adults, be there for them. Just listen to what they have to say. And then if you're led by the Spirit to say something, then say it. And don't have no regrets for it, because you may be saving their life. Me and my son, sometimes I have to go off on him. And he be like, well, I'm grown. I say, I understand that too, but I'm growner than you. How about that? And then I even say, I got more experience than you too as well. Now what you gotta say? So then I say, with your grown self. I say, I tell you what, you just tell me. You tell me how it turned out, okay? That's all. And you know what? When I get off the phone, I have a peace about it, because I've learned they are gonna do what they want to do. And that's it. And guess what? My relationship with God is gonna sustain them anyway.
Yes.
Even though they may want to go to the left and God wants them to go to the right, guess what? Because I have a relationship with God, He gonna make sure they go the right way. It may take them a little bit longer, but they gonna go the right way. Because I've learned, Arlene, we can't take the place of God. As much as we love our children, we cannot take the place of God. God is omnipresent and He's omnipotent. He's everywhere. I can't be nowhere but right where I'm at right now.
Right.
I don't know nothing no more than what I know right now.
That's right.
God knows it all. God sees it all. So guess what? Why am I getting myself all in a tizzy for what? If they fall in my heart, I say, Lord, you know where they at? Do what needs to be done in the name of Jesus. Amen. And I go back to sleep.
I really appreciate you sharing this, because a lot of mothers struggle in this area, because you love your children, especially where you're coming from. You're trying to protect them, and it can be overwhelming for the children. But it's that love. It's like, I want to care for you, because I needed this in my life and it wasn't there. And so, you know, but I believe also when your children get older, that understanding should be there. Say, you know, mom is just, it's all about love. She's not meaning to hurt us or anything. It's love. It's care. And I'm so glad that you're pointing out that you're now treating your children as an adult, because some parents still treat their children as children, even though they're adults. And it's dysfunctional. It can bring a lot of separation. So you embrace wisdom. You embrace it, and you're using it so that you can still have a healthy relationship with them. You can still, you know, be their mom, because you will forever be mom. You know,
exactly.
So someone they can still come to. I mean, that's awesome. I know a lot of Black folks, especially, we haven't been, back in the day, we didn't talk about counseling. We didn't talk about where to get help, because church is not the only place. If churches, because not all churches are prepared for this kind of life, of pain and hurt. Some people just don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So, do you think we need more counseling in the church? Do you think we need more support or of how to approach people, or what do you think? Do you think it's missing? Or we need help? We need more help in the church building?
Well, here's the thing I would say, and this is only based on my experience. I have been in church for a long time. I've gone through counseling, spiritual counseling. But I also, and it's up to the individual, I would say, to make that decision on what it is that your personal needs for you. But see, here's the thing is, we have to come to a place of recognizing what we need as an individual.
Right.
And what is there out there to offer that's offered to us as individuals. I can't go to counseling for my mama. She's dead. I can't go to counseling for my grandmother. She's dead. Only person I can go to counseling for it's me. I can't go for my children. It's for me. But here's the thing, Arlene. People have to come to that conclusion that they need it, whether it's spiritual in the church with, pastors, whether it's professional, whether it's group counseling, and whether it's one-on-one counseling. That's with anything in life. You have to make a conscious decision what you want to do for you. I just spoke about my kids. They are my investment. I have placed a lot of time, resources, finances, a lot in my kids. That's my investment. But what am I doing for me? What am I investing in me? So I had to come to the conclusion of, Sheila, your life was what it was and is what it is. So, but how is it affecting you? And I kid you not, Arlene, I made the decision. I went through spiritual counseling, and it was an awesome thing because I got practical, I got spiritual, and when the counseling that I got from our pastor, it was real because they shared life experiences with me to help me grow in my personal life. Now, the mental side of that, I had to go to professional counseling because I was still dealing with a lot of issues from childhood that I didn't think that I was still dealing with. And then I had to deal with a lot of personal issues that I was dealing with at the present time as well. Because sometimes we still deal with past, present, as well. So anyway, one day I never forget, I was sitting at my job. I was dealing with some personal issues with my marriage. I was dealing with some issues with work. And I had spiritual things that I was dealing with as well. I never forget, I was sitting at my desk and it was, to the point I thought I was going to literally pull my hair out. That's how it was just coming all at me. And the Spirit of God spoke to me and said, it's time. Most people will say, well, what you mean it's time?
Time for what?
The Spirit of God spoke to me and told me it was time. I picked up the phone, and at work we have what is called EAP. And I made the call. It was the hardest thing that I could have done or felt like doing. But I knew that I needed the help, because if I didn't, I could just picture myself out on maybe Pine Hills Road pushing a buggy, twisting my hair, wondering what my name is. But because my relationship with God, I heard his voice tell me, make the call. And let me tell you, Sister Arlene, that was back in March of 2018. That was the best phone call that I had ever made to save my life.
Yes.
Mentally. We don't talk about these things a lot in our community. It's very taboo.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. That was the best conversation that I've had sitting on someone's couch. Yes, someone's couch.
That's right.
You know, people make fun. Oh, I am not going to sit on nobody's couch.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. That was the best conversations that I've
had.
With someone that I did not even know.
Yes.
That God placed in my life to get me to see life in a whole different way.
That's it. That's it right there.
A whole different way. And you know what? It was for nobody but me.
Yes.
Me. People, you know, today, they're ashamed to want to go speak and talk to somebody. Oh, because know what in the back of your head is? I'm grown. They're human just like me. They got issues just like me. Who are they to tell me that I need to do this or I need to do that? Guess what?
Deflecting everything to prevent yourself from moving forward. You block. You know, so many people block their own selves.
Yep. You know, I heard a saying say, "Hocus pocus, shift the focus." So, so we so crafty in our own way, but yet and still we don't understand why we keep hitting brick walls.
Come on.
Why we keep going in the same circles. Why we keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's because we don't want to be honest with ourselves and say, look, we got a problem.
Come on.
We need to get help for me. Not nobody else. And let me tell you something. When I went, I felt so uncomfortable. Because I went to group therapy to be sitting in there talking and telling my business, this is my business.
Yeah.
To these strangers.
That took a lot.
Tell me about it. One-on-one counseling I went. That one was okay because it was just me and somebody else. But still, it was a stranger that I'm sitting here opening up my life to. But you know what? Like the saying say, how bad do you want it?
Come on.
How bad do you want your relationship with God? How bad do you want your peace of mind? How bad do you want to make a difference in somebody else's life?
Make that change, yes.
How bad do you want it? So I had to deny self, because that's what it's all about anyway. Salvation is about denying myself and giving God full control, right?
Yes.
It's the same thing. Denying myself and allowing someone in my life to see me for who I really am. And you know what, Arlene, I'm going to say it. I was raggedy as a mango seed.
Me too.
I was raggedy as a mango seed. I was so messed up. Things that I thought was right was so wrong.
Yeah.
It was just so wrong. But I thank God that...
Thank God.
So much. He does. And I know it's hard sometimes for people to really know that in the midst of what they're going through. But what happens is they had to understand those are the choices that they made. God didn't make those choices for them. And then they want to blame God. Why is this happening? Or why is that happening? God wants a whole better life for us. If we just come to the place and understand that it's you that make the decision, a conscious decision to do what you do. And then when you get the results and you don't get the results that you want, now you mad at God and everybody else.
But you didn't do the work.
When you ain't do the work. And you gotta do the work.
Sheila, I love you. You had me cracking up the other day. We had a conversation and I'm like, I know you because we go to the same church and everything, but the other day I had a conversation with you and it was on the next level. You hear me? I was like, wow, she is so awesome. I celebrate you. Um, because you did the work, you're able to make me laugh and to rejoice in God, because I rejoice
Yeah.
when I hear your testimony. It is such an awesome one because you didn't give up, you didn't stop. Even,
Yeah.
did you ever felt like giving up along the way? Did you ever felt like
Oh,
giving up?
yes. Let me tell you, Sister Arlene, it was so bad. So there's times um I even contemplated commit suicide because I was to the point, it's like, why even live? Why things that I chose to do, I felt was the right thing, but it caused me so much pain till I was like, why even be here? What is it worth? And then not only that, I even wanted the person that hurt me so bad, I wanted them dead,
Yeah.
to die. Not me to kill them, but to die. Just God, anything happened to them, just let them die.
Wow.
Because I felt that, I had gave all that I could give as a person, and I wasn't looking. I didn't have any hidden motives, so to speak. I just wanted to be loved. I wanted to receive the same love that I was given, you know, but I didn't. And there was times where, I mean, I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I was crying.
Wow.
I mean, I just wanted to just give it up. But I had to think about, it wasn't about me. I had children, I had grandchildren, I got grandchildren now. Um, and if I
And
take
they're
my
so
life,
cute.
yeah, thanks. And let me tell you something. They give me so much
Joy, everything.
joy. I tell you, so the gifts that God has given me, why would I forfeit them because life happened?
Wow.
Like I told you, I went and I got counseling back in March of 2018. Not only counseling did I get, there was a chemical imbalance, issues of stress. People don't understand stress would just mess you all up.
Cause a lot of different sickness. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a lot of different diagnoses of illnesses, things doctors say I had, and all just, it was just a whole lot. Started taking meds and just all kinds of stuff. It was just so much going on because of life
That
choices.
That first trauma
Yes,
caused a lot of things to, yeah.
exactly. And
Wow.
and let me tell you something.
That's a lot.
God will warn you. He will warn you. But if you don't take heed to his warnings, you will suffer the consequences, whether they're good or whether they're bad.
Yeah.
And that's just life. But
yes.
I thank God that he has afforded me the opportunity to be in this place that I am in my life now.
Yes.
It was rough. I done been. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid and ashamed of anything. I done been through 3 divorces. I done been through all kinds of other turmoil in my life. But guess what? I'm now
Come on.
a single, God-fearing woman
Happy.
that has a desire. I still haven't given up on marriage because those were my choices. Those wasn't the choices that God gave me. I haven't given. Marriage is not a bad thing. Let me put that out there, because a lot of people think, no, marriage is not that's a good thing. That's something God honored. That's something God put in place. That's something God put in place for families. And let me tell you something. I have nothing against marriage. Those were my choices. Those wasn't God's choices. And I believe in my heart, because what God has given me, the skills that he has given me as a woman, as a wife, he has somebody for me. I just need to be patient and just wait the course that my Boaz is on the way. And you know what? I am content in the state that I am in now.
But the key is for each situation, because people tend to look like, oh my God, I've been through three divorces, or, but people don't understand that life is a process, especially with your trauma. That was trauma, okay? A lot of people don't survive from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that thing, because what evil or sin comes to destroy. It's to destroy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
people, broken people will hurt other people. Okay,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
the trauma that as a child, and for you to be sitting here and saying you've been through all that, but you're still standing, that uh, that is just so awesome to me, because you're such a, I know you at least as much as I know about you, and it's such a, I'm so glad that the Lord brought us together, that I can rejoice with you,
Mm-hmm.
because those things didn't make you who you are today. You're soaring above your problems. You are reaching out, and life is, it's a process, and it's a lifelong thing. We are
Mm-hmm.
always processing. We are always seeking to go higher, to be better, to please God more.
Mm-hmm.
It will be forever until the Lord comes.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
there's nothing to be ashamed of, and
Oh
that's what I
no.
want people to understand. There's no
No.
shame in your journey. There are
No.
so many things that you learn. You could be married and divorced for 5, 10 times, but what are you learning from it? What are you
Exactly.
learning? Everybody's on
Mm-hmm.
different level. Everybody,
Yes.
the journey is different.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And yours is appreciated because you are still moving ahead and
Mm-hmm.
learning and teaching.
Yeah.
It does
And we
this is it.
yeah, and we gotta learn not to allow the enemy to keep us in a box
Yeah.
where we know what God has delivered and saved us from.
Yeah.
And my thing, I would say that there are a lot of women that want to be married as well as men. Um, I had the opportunity to be married 3 times. Uh, but the thing is, we gotta understand we don't allow our mistakes to identify who God says we are,
Yes. That's
and
right.
don't allow people to identify who God says we are.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because crazy enough to believe that God has somebody out there that's gonna love me for who I am and who
Yes.
He created me to be.
Yes.
I can't say nothing for anybody else because there's a lot of times people get bitter and they don't want, oh, I don't never want to get married again, or whatever. That's your choice. That's
Because of
fine
the
if that's
pain.
what, because but if that's what you want, hey, who am I to knock it? But I know what God has put in me and who He has created me to be, so I ain't knocking it.
That's right.
I made those, and I'm woman enough to say, you know what, those were my decisions. There was not God decisions. So I have allowed myself to be in a place where I'm waiting on God's decision to be manifested in my life. I told you, me and you was having a conversation the other day. I've told you I've come to a place in my life that I know what clothes, what garments to wear
Yeah.
when I need to wear them.
Yes.
I know what garments I need to have on because
I
my
like
thing
that.
is this: my life is a fight because I know what God has saved me from. I know where I'm at, and I
That's right.
know the enemy is not happy. I know it for a matter. I know it for a fact because the thing is, he wanted me to lose my mind. Not that he wanted to take my life, because he couldn't take my life. Because he don't. He that's not his. He
That's
can't do
right.
that. He can't do that.
Exactly. It's not
But
his to
he
take.
Exactly. But he wanted me to be so mentally messed up and crazy where I didn't even know who I was, whose I was, and what my name was. He can't do that now. Because I have
The victory.
decided. I have the victory and I have decided to wait on God and to let
Yes.
God do the work in me and through me. And the thing is, like I told you the other day, I know when to wear stilettos.
Yeah.
because I know I ain't in that kind of fight. But I
Yes.
also know when to put on my sneakers.
There you go.
And I know when to put my jeans on and my t-shirt because I know what kind of fight that I would be in and what type of
Yes.
garment I would need at that particular
Mm.
time. Life taught me those things. I didn't just
Mm.
wake up and here it is, I have it. Because
Exactly.
I know who I am in Christ. I value myself. I know what my worth is
Mm-hmm.
now when I didn't before. When I was a little girl, violated rights taken away as an adult, trying to figure out who I am and what I am and all that. I already know who I am, and I will not allow anyone to come in my life that means me no good. I know better
Mm-hmm.
now. I didn't know better
Mm-hmm.
before. I know better now. So
Yes.
therefore, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I'm not saying
That's
that I'm
right.
not gonna make
None of
any
us
more
are.
mistakes. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is now I make a conscious decision under the Holy Spirit to say that you know what, you're not gonna be in my life.
Mm.
Nope, I'm not accepting that. Nope, I'm not putting up with that. Because now I'm not ashamed, and I know
Yeah.
that I can make decisions being bold and knowing that you know what, this is God's will.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, like I say, I've learned how to seek His face
Mm-hmm.
before I make a decision on doing something, and some things can be so simple as going to the
Yes.
store.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in my spirit, don't leave the house. I ain't leaving the
The,
house.
same
That's
here.
just that's
Yep.
just the way. That's how sensitive I am to hearing the voice of God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I could be having a conversation with somebody, and this Holy Spirit could speak and say, it's time to end the conversation, or it's
Mm-hmm.
time to talk about something else."
Yes.
Before, you would let all that junk filter in your ears and just listen to nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not right.
Shut it off.
He has given me the ability now to say no when I say no, when I need to say no, and yes when I need to say yes. And
Yes.
I've learned that. But guess
Mm-hmm.
what? I didn't get there overnight. It was life experiences
Work.
that
Work.
taught me exactly it
Mm-hmm.
that taught me. And guess what? I'ma still be learning till
Mm-hmm.
I close my eyes or he crack the sky. That's
Mm-hmm.
just the way it is. But now, like I say, I told you yesterday, I mean the other day, they should have caught me when I was really stupid.
Too late now.
Too late now. Too late now. And listen, I'm not saying that arrogant. I just have a confidence and a boldness to know that I am a child of God, and God don't want no junk for me, and I ain't gonna accept no junk.
That's right.
That's just the way it is.
That's
Call it
it.
what you want to call it. I am a new creature in Christ. Old things have passed away. So Arlene, that's where I'm at today. It's just life is too short,
Yes.
and we need to get past all these past hurts.
Yeah.
Take Stop allowing this bitterness to be in our hearts towards
Mm-hmm.
people. And the main key is I did an article on Facebook. I wrote something, expectations. That
Mm.
was a hard lesson for me to
Yeah.
learn about expectations
Mm-hmm.
in my personal life, my work life, all of it. And it is very hard. So now I don't expect nothing from nobody but God.
That's
And
it.
that's it. That's it.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Man, this is so awesome. Your children are seeing your progression. They're seeing you back then and now. They see
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
And you're still making an impact on their lives. You're still impacting lives. Um, it God just have a way when you trust Him, when you pray, because we don't really
Yes.
don't know what to pray for. We don't know what to do.
No. No.
God is the one we depend on Him to guide us in the right direction. But I'm so glad for your journey that you lived it, and you fought for your life, for your children. I mean, this is such an awesome testament. I thank God for it. I thank God for you and all that you have come through. Thank you so much for not giving up. Thank you so much for the path that you went through and did what you did. And in everything you depend on God. And look what God is doing. And he's not finished yet. Look what he's doing in your life. And it's such an awesome thing. And we want the listeners, those that are listening, this is what God does. You don't have to give up. There's a lot of traumas that have happened to so many of us in life, but you don't have to give up. Because God said, I'm here. If you turn to me, I will walk you through. I'll be with you. God will, things that, like you and I, we have experiencing God that we had no idea that serving God would have been this good. It is fascinating. It is awesome. Just hearing the voice of the Lord and the guidance. It's just so awesome. So, Sheila, thank you so much for this awesome testimony. And I pray that somebody's life was impacted, was blessed by this. And we're sure that somebody, if God have us to share this, then somebody's going to listen. The person that needs to hear this will listen. And we pray that their lives will be blessed. So thank you again. This has been Journey to Salvation. And we'll see you next time. God bless.
Thank you.
And then share with your friends. Thanks again for watching Journey to Salvation.